I am a neurosomatic integration is the work that I do, and it's a 40-year evolution of my work, where I first started introspection in myself at Esalen Institute, and have taken a series of all different forms of modalities of body work and emotional release work on myself. And through myself, I developed my work, which in the beginning was basically about body work. And then, as I progressed in my own path of evolution, found things about myself and saw that it wasn't so much about what was going on in my mind with the things that have happened in my life, my traumas and things that, issues that have happened that I couldn't resolve in my mind. I was able, through my work and through traveling and working with different teachers and shamans and Satgurus, that I was able to see the body in a whole new way, that it works neurologically, that the system is things are stored in the fabric of the body. Very much like if something happened to me in my life, there would be a story about it. And I thought the story was how you would resolve it, but then I realized I attempted to talk about the stories through Gestalt or through different practices, but it really didn't resolve. It resolves a lot, some of the things through the mind, but I still felt the pain in my body. And then I was doing some work with people that, like in neural work, that with Dr. Peter Levine, that had opened a door for me in seeing how the body works and how it works neurologically. And then I studied it and worked with it for 3 years, and studied different people like Porges and Van der Kolk, and people who work neurologically. And that, what neurologically means is that there are pathways in the body. There's this vagal system that can be activated, and through a series of being able to move the person from what feels good or what feels safe, establishing what's safe in a person first before any work is done. And that's what is safe in the body. Where do you feel safe? Anatomically. So when I'm feeling something that's uncomfortable in myself, I can then pendulate or move outside of myself into the external and look around and see what feels really, really safe and comfortable, and then where do I feel that in my body? And then that allows what it was that was activating me to release in a very organic way. So the work is, the body knows through evolution how to do this process. It works with 10 physiological systems that it knows how to work, like the heart. I don't tell my heart how to beat. I don't tell my lungs how to breathe. It does it automatically. And in this system, of the neural system of release, it knows how to discharge it, somewhat like how animals do it in their fight, flight, and freeze. A tiger could be chasing down a rabbit, and the rabbit realizes, well, I'm running, but I can't outrun him. And I can't fight him. So I can freeze. So he goes into a state of freeze where he actually appears dead, and then he's got maybe a 50-50 chance that the tiger will go, well, this isn't really any fun, and walk away from his catch because he really wants the fight, or really wants it, or he's not hungry. And then that process where the tiger leaves, the rabbit will begin to shake and begin to discharge this traumatic experience, and then get up and run. And then that allows the discharge of what has happened to go into full completion. So it's a cycle. And with humans, what seemed to be happening with myself and what I saw in others is that we don't have this. A lot of times people go into, they have an accident, and the next thing they know, they're being wrapped up by a CMT or EMT, and they are trapped and not able to discharge. The body can't discharge because it's being held down, and consequently it leads into post-traumatic stress syndrome. And then it's a story that starts, and then they have complications in the body that can formulate into some kind of fear or some kind of breathing problem or any kind of disease or anything can actualize itself through the inability of the body to discharge this. So then once the person gets a chance to discharge this through this work of being able to pendulate and finding what's safe, then these traumas and things and diseases and problems in the body can leave, and then there's a more freedom, more space, a more wideness in the body, and more love. And the work, in its essence, is really about love, compassion, and safety. These are the keys to helping a person release things in an organic way. So what I have is developed through working with people. I do these 2-year trainings, or I do 5-day trainings and sessions with people, is to help people come in contact with their safety and their love, and to go really, really slowly and watch the body movement. It's all about how the body moves. So I could have a normal conversation just talking about anything, and as the person is talking, the body starts to move, and then you see a certain movement that isn't really congruent to what the person is saying, and then I could say, hey, what would it be like to do that movement? And then as they do the movement, I ask them to slow it down, and the more they slow it down, and then I'll say, well, what kind of images or thoughts or physical sensations happen as you do this? Then the body starts to talk, and an image can come, and that image we build on, and where do you feel it in the body? And then when they start to feel this sensation or whatever image or whatever is going on in the body, that will lead to someplace else. And then as it leads to someplace else, the body's through the safety, if they start to activate, then I can go, well, take a look around and find that safe place, and then the body will start to discharge what it was that we were going into in the first place. And it's so smooth. Like, for instance, I was working with this German man. I live in Germany, and he was 75 years old. And when I first saw him, he was very contained, very polite, very nice, and there was this compact feeling in his body. So we sat and we had a conversation, and I asked him, you know, what does he do for a living, and tell me a little bit about. And as he's talking, I'm beginning to watch his feet, and his legs start to move. So then that's an indication. It can be flight, can be some kind of movement. I said, well, I would like to put on some music, and let's just see. I wanted him to see what it would be like to move. And he said, and I said, he said to me when I asked him, do you dance? And he says, nee, I don't dance. And I said, well, I'll put it on and we'll see what happens. So I put on some music that would be particular to him. And as the music went on, because music is a great vibrational frequency to help people feel that sensation in their body. And as it was moving, I saw that his legs were moving again, and I put my hand out and I said, well, just see what happens. And so he got up and he started to move, and he really felt calm. And he started to smile, and I said, how does that feel? He says, yeah, I like it, I can dance. And there was this happiness about him. So in that session, that was enough. So he wanted to come back again, and he came back in 2 days, and I was happy to work with him again. And so this time I put him on the table, and I started to work with his body, and I put my hand underneath the main diaphragm, and I let it just rest there. And I asked him, can you feel my hand? And he goes, yeah, it feels warm. And I said, well, tell me a little bit about it. Does it have any direction? Does it move? And he goes, yeah, it seems to get a little bit bigger. And does it have any shape? And it feels like a ball. Well, how big is the ball? Well, like a big ball. And I go, nice. And I said, as you pay attention to this sensation, which felt safe, notice if anything comes up. So we sat there, and I had my hand there, and I don't really move, and I can feel my hand melting with his body, and his body's accepting it. So I'm getting a neural connection. I'm getting an acceptance of safety, that he doesn't feel threatened. And all of a sudden, I sense the body's getting activated, and I said, well, what's happening? And he says, I see myself as a little boy, and I'm 5 years old, and I'm with my 3 brothers, and we have no food, and we have no father, and each time as he's saying it, the body's getting more and more activated. It starts to shake and jolt. These jolts start coming in, and then he says in the same sentence, and what's going on outside, I hear bombs exploding. So then I quickly see that now the body is very activated, and I quickly say to him, I said, hey, you want to sing? And he looks at me confusing, because I'm trying to, in a sense, move him out of it, and he goes, was? Which means what? And I said, sing. And what do I sing? And I said, I'll sing you something and see if it feels comfortable for you to sing it. And so I start to sing, I have no food and I have no father. And he begins to sing it with me. In about 5 or 10 minutes of singing, he starts, all of a sudden he starts to smile and laugh. And I say, hey. And as he's singing it, I'm sensing the body is slowing down, and it's activating, but it's moving energy. And as he starts to say that, hey, I have food, and I have a father, the whole body begins to discharge. And it's like this whole wave of energy comes through him, and he starts to feel very happy. And then the body just calms down, and it feels soft, very, very soft and flexible. The rigidity has left. And that shaking that was occurring with that when he had said the bomb has dissipated. And he's lying there, and then he gets up, and he says to me, I feel very light, and I feel very happy. And he wants to hug me. He says, can I hug? And I said, sure. And we hug, and I feel his body, and it's very loose. It's very open. And he leaves. The session ends, and he goes back, and I was working with his wife, and his wife comes in the next day, and he says, oh my God, he's laughing and singing and dancing. I've never seen him this way. And this is how it simply works. Right? It's to help a person feel something that feels safe and good in the body. And while the person is feeling that, it allows the system to discharge whatever was going on in the moment. So there was no need to going in, well, what does it feel like not to have food or a father? Because then that gets into the story and it activates the person. So this was like a simple way of not getting into the story, but just allowing this, these contractions and this freezing that was going on with him in fear to leave organically. So this is how I work. I begin to help a person find what's safe, and I teach other people, other practitioners and other people how to do this work in a way of using music, of using movement, of watching how the body moves in a way, and using those as the indicators and a complement to being able, or an engagement to be able to move in and be with the person so that they can release it safely. And then the body starts to feel wider and more freer. And that's the work that I'm teaching around the world. I teach it in many different places, and it works for me, and I only do what works for me. I believe that a practitioner needs to to feel the work themselves before they can really apply it. And that doesn't mean reading about it, it means actually feeling it. And that's what I call neurosomatic integration.